Quick them.
Cover it.
Toss it into a blender.
Swirl it.
I put it on rice.
Run cold water through it and just grate it.
Just the tips.
Just the tips. Here we go.
I love them. A tricky way to know when they are ready, you gotta squeak them. You do a squeaky sound. Yeah. I encounter so many people that they never try to cook.
It's very intimidating.
Right, it's intimidating, but it's not that hard. It's so good to eat it. It's full
You
of
can steam them whole,
steam
peel
them
the
whole
leaves off.
with olive oil, lemon, something like that. Yeah, what's not to like?
Beans. The way that I like to cook beans is in the oven.
I know, that's interesting.
It's my fave way. Dutch oven. You've got your beans. These have been soaking overnight. These are pinto beans. The reason that I like cooking beans in the oven is it cooks them a lot more gently and more evenly, I think, than they would if you were putting them on the stove top. Covering them with fresh water, not using that water that you use to soak them with. I like to salt right from the very beginning. And then I like to add some aromatics. Dried mushrooms, a couple of chilies. I like a little bit of charred onion, kombu, which is seaweed, a little bit of olive oil. I would bring this up to a boil on the stovetop, cover it, and then park it in like a 300-degree oven. And for like an hour to an hour and a half, I think this is the best way to get it.
You just sold me.
Yep.
Corn.
Corn.
This is what corn looks like.
Oh.
The best way to cut the kernels off the cob without them scattering everywhere is to put it inside of a pretty shallow bowl and then just cut down along the cob, and they will all just fall and release into the bowl. And then the next thing that I wanted to talk about was the corn milk, which is this milky, creamy liquid that is in the cob and shouldn't be left behind. Take the back of your knife, so the dull side, and scrape down the cob, and it will release into the bowl. And this is great if you're making something like a chowder, which is already going to be creamy, and there's a lot of flavor in the corn milk, so why waste it and why leave it behind?
I personally believe you can turn any herb into a chutney, toss it into a blender with juice of 1 lime, a serrano chili, salt, sugar. You can do one herb, you can do multiple types of herb, boom, instant chutney. A chutney is basically just like a herby, spicy accompaniment to a lot of Indian dishes, but I like using it as a dip, serving it with crudité, serving it with crackers, spreading it on bread, using it as a sandwich spread.
Put it on your fish.
Put it on your fish, yeah, as a dressing.
An emulsion, it's the stable dispersal of one thing into another with which it would not normally mix. So that can mean like oil and vinegar in a salad dressing, or it can mean, like an emulsion of a sauce. And at the very root of it, I just want to show you. So like in one case, I'm breaking the emulsion that is present in the butter by just melting it, okay? So I'm basically, when I melt it and I start to sizzle it, when you hear that sizzle, that's the water content of the butter, which is like around, let's call it 20%, kind of sizzling out of the butter. Whereas if I take the same amount of butter and swirl it, basically that preserves the constant state of the butter, which is to be emulsified. So like this is a secret to a lot of like French sauces and whatnot. So like this has preserved the creamy characteristics of the butter, whereas this, from this point, basically would be, you could build it up with a little bit more butter, but it's effectively separated.
Furikake is just a great seasoning, Japanese. It's usually got seaweed, sesame seeds, sometimes there's dried fish in it. It's great just I put it on rice, or you can put it on your chicken, put it in sauces or marinades. Just an awesome thing to have in your pantry. Easy to find for the most part. This one you can even get at Whole Foods, and they're great, so furikake.
I feel like there's a few different ways that we've agreed on in the test kitchen to break down garlic. The first one would be to cut it crossways and to expose the cloves. And then we tend to break down our garlic into a very almost paste-like with a microplane or a mortar and pestle if you're like me. And that just makes for a more concentrated flavor. Just remember that the further you break down the garlic, the more concentrated the flavor will be.
This is fresh horseradish. I love the flavor of fresh. It's more subtle. It's still hot and spicy, but it's not going to have that same kind of nose-tingling wasabi effect when it's fresh. It's just more mild. It's really nice over braised dishes. You could grate some into a mayonnaise or a creamy dip. I like it in dressings, and then use a microplane and just grate it. Come on.
You can never have enough ice. And that's
In
kind
your
of
life.
in your life.
Oh my god, that's the truest truth.
If you make cocktails, if you drink wine,
If you drink water, you better drink water.
it's really important. I personally like to keep a whole bag of like grocery store ice in my freezer at all times because you're never gonna have enough ice at the ready as you do if you just have a stash of bagged ice.
So I just wanted to show you my all-time favorite citrus juicer. Not only does it juice the citrus and collect the seeds, but it will measure the juice for you by tablespoons or by ounces.
Oh my god, the amount of juice is insane.
I think it's the highest yield and the cleanest way to do it.
And I like this better than using like a handheld reamer.
Yeah.
Because you
That's
just
also
really,
messy.
Yeah. Wow.
And then what did we get there?
50 milliliters of lemon juice.
Or 1.75 ounces or 3.5 tablespoons.
Wherever you live in the world, you can understand this thing.
Ah!
Oh, sorry.
All right, kitchen twine. This is a thing that when you don't have it and you need it, nothing really compares. Twine's great to have around for when you need to make like a little roulade, like for braciole, but it's also great if you're making a pot of beans or stock and you want to add herbs to them but don't want to have to deal with fishing them out later. You can just make your little bundle and tie them up and drop them into the stock and pull them out without having to drain and pick them out later. If you've got time for time, you've got time for twine.
So like lemongrass, it's incredibly tough, it's incredibly fibrous. So when you're prepping it, always take the outer layers of like very woody, kind of dried out leaves off of it. You could grate it on a microplane grater,
yeah.
To like grate it right into a sauce. And if you want to just like blend it straight into something, just like you can slice it thin, even though it seems really hard and tough. Just slicing it really thin, like this will blend totally easily in a blender. Get it out of here.
Boom, flying in. Yeah, the mandolin. You want to be careful with this one with your fingers. You always want to cut with an open hand. But this is a great way if you got to cut a lot of things real thin, consistently. Just a great tool to have in the kitchen. You just kind of...
Boom. Delicious.
I mean, you could easily do that with a knife too.
I mean, not really. I feel like you can't, like, this is the
Well, it
kind of
depends who
thinness
you
that-
ask, Priya.
I like to cook my nuts in fat. So these are pecans that are cooked in a little bit of butter, but you could also cook them in olive oil, you can cook them in a neutral oil. I just love what happens. The nuts, when they're toasted in a fat, they almost amplify in their flavor.
Nuts for nuts.
Nuts for nuts.
Okay, olive oil. The only olive oil that you should be using is extra virgin olive oil, okay? So that's number one. And I learned recently to buy olive oil in smaller bottles than you think. You don't want a 3-liter can of olive oil hanging out because it oxidizes and changes flavor and can go rancid very quickly. Always buy an olive oil that's in a dark green or a black bottle, something that light cannot pass through because light will also oxidize and change the flavor. And you want to be able to see from looking at the label, you want to know the country of origin, you want to see the words extra virgin, and to get an idea of when it was harvested. There should be a stamp on the back. So just use one that you like. The flavor varies. It's kind of like wine. So, it's also great for your skin and hair.
Pete, it's for pork. Stop overcooking it. The reason that a lot of people don't like the pork that they make at home is that they're overcooking it. They think that you need to cook it to like 160 degrees in order for it to be safe to eat. That's not the case. 135 for like a thick cut pork chop, and then let it carry over to that 140 place. It's gonna be nice and rosy inside. Don't freak out. It's gonna be the juiciest pork chop that you ever have in your entire life. So
You should be eating your pork at medium.
yeah,
Not medium well. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, quinoa has a coating on the outside called saponin.
Ooh.
saponin. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Saponin.
And it's very bitter. And so that's why we rinse quinoa before we cook it. So the best way to deal with it is to put your dry quinoa into a fine mesh strainer and then run cold water through it, using your fingers to swish it around until the water runs clear, much like you would with rice. And this will wash away any of that bitterness. We're getting a really wacky pile of shit over there.
Rhizomes. Rhizomes are not roots. And this is fresh turmeric and this is ginger. The rhizome is actually an underground plant stem. So whereas a carrot is like a root vegetable where the vegetable is growing underground, a rhizome is the stem that grows underground and sends off other shoots. I like to use a spoon to peel. You can also use a peeler for this, but the spoon lets you kind of get around the little nodes and things. And the same is true for the turmeric, which just doing this will probably stain my fingers, but it's totally worth it.
So this old salt and squeeze is this. So like basically things like cucumbers, even summer squashes, things kind of in that family, are full of water. And a great way to kind of start to get rid of some of that water, concentrate the flavor and concentrate the texture of these, of vegetables, is to do the old salt and squeeze. So like see how much water is coming out of this?
Yep.
And I've like just barely started to work with it. So this is going to start to concentrate the flavor and even preserve like the crunchy texture of the cucumber. Salt and squeeze, S.
Oh, tea. Tea is a great one I think it's very important for all employees, no matter where you work, to take some time off, especially creatively, to go and recharge your batteries, right?
That's so cute. I love that
Oh,
tip.
yeah, I think so. Take some time off. It's very important, all right? If you don't use it, you lose them. Something like that.
This is umeboshi plum paste. It's commonly referred to as salted Japanese plums, but they're closer to apricots actually. You'll see it mostly whole, and it's a type of Japanese pickle, also known as tsukemono. Very, very salty, and I would pair it with things that are very just kind of plain, like just a bowl of rice.
Salty and really sour.
Salty and really sour. I love it. I could eat it on its own.
I like it too.
Right?
Vermouth is an aperitif, and there is white ones and there are red ones, and they have all sorts of different plants and botanicals and bitters in it.
These are not fully oxidized, so they will oxidize.
They don't last. They don't last forever.
The aroma will go, so keep it in the fridge. Stopper it in the fridge.
And I love it.
W is for wax paper, which is not the same as parchment paper. I made that mistake one time when I was in college. I put wax paper down and I was baking a loaf of bread on top of it, and it filled my entire house with smoke.
And it melted.
And it melted. Wax paper does not go in the oven. Parchment paper goes in the oven.
This is an anti-wax campaign.
No wax paper.
Fuck wax paper.
We don't do wax paper
hate
anymore.
it.
Nope. Canceled.
X is for X marks the spot. So this is a way to quickly remove the skins of either tomatoes or stone fruit if you're going to then cook them. So you take a very sharp paring knife and just cut an X in the tip, drop them into boiling water for 30 seconds, and then lift them up and transfer them to ice water to stop the cooking. You're not cooking the tomatoes, you're just peeling them. The skins will peel back really easily once you do that.
Beautiful.
Yogurt.
We shot this video already, Priya.
As you know, yogurt is my all-time favorite food. I mix it with herbs and grated cucumber, make a raita, strain it, mix in sugar and cardamom, make a shrikhan, this beautiful sweet cardamom pudding. I use it to marinate chicken. There are infinite uses for yogurt. You should always have a tub of this and get the whole milk stuff, not the fat-free. Do not buy fat-free yogurt.
Get it out of here.
So I'm a little bit particular about the way I zest. So I do a single pass, and I do it along the length of the lime. And I'm rolling the lime along the length here, and then I'm turning with my fingers as I go. Because if you dig down more than that, you're just gonna start to pick up the bitter pith underneath, and you're not really getting zest. So I see people...
Yeah, you get all the white
and
stuff.
And it's like, what have you done? What have you done? What are you doing? That's not right. You can do like this kind of style of like a Y style vegetable peeler is great. You can then cut that zest into strips if you want it for like decoration, you know, for baked goods or whatnot.
the
Cool.
same.
Zest.